bootleg podcasts made for everyone by anyone. You are listening to The Rating is Right, a game show podcast based around the movies you love and their ratings. Think The Price is Right with a lower budget, less Bruce, and no prizes. Introducing your host, Ian Crow.
It's the rating. It's the rating. It's the rating. It's the rating.
Hello and welcome to episode 13 of The Rating is Right. So before I introduce my co-host, let's explain how this is going to work. Quite simply, my co-host will be guessing the ratings of a series of films, including whether they are higher or lower than the previous one. They'll be getting 1 point for a correct guess of higher or lower, an additional point for whoever is closest, and a whopping 3 points for anyone lucky enough to guess the rating bang on. The winner at the end of the episode will have the honour and privilege of giving a recommendation of a film that takes their fancy. Now that's sorted, let's meet my co-host. He's the current loser, but all-time champion of the podcast. It's George Robinson.
If you could just leave out the current loser bit. I feel like if you look at the overall scoreboard, that's the only important thing. As Owen says loads of times, you don't look at the last game, you look at the overall.
Right, but I feel like maybe when Owen said that in the past that you would then disagree with that.
Yeah, probably. 100%.
When he's been on like a little bit of a run.
No, 100%.
George, I'm just stating facts here. I'm just telling the people what the facts of the podcast is. That's all I'm doing. I can't lie. I can't lie to the people. I can't lie to the people. No, but let's move on to our current champion, two episodes in a row.
But overall,
Owen Cox. But overall, I will state all the facts. Overall loser, but 2-time in a row champion Owen Cox.
Not only as good as your last win. Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, depending on when you're listening.
Cover all the bases.
Yeah, well, I mean, we did have a listener in Japan,
yeah,
right?
We do.
George, is that correct?
We've got a repeat listener in Japan, I found out. Actually,
more than
one.
Really?
Yeah, more than one download.
We don't only have a listener in Japan.
Wow.
They are listening consistently.
Are a fan.
Which is great.
If you are our one Japanese listener, please get in touch with the Instagram page and maybe we'll make you a specialist piece of merch.
I was convinced.
As a specialist fan.
I was convinced that Owen was going to turn around and say, if you are our one listener, konnichiwa.
Also that.
Yeah.
I was also hoping that maybe we can do a live event in Tokyo and have our one listener come and watch us.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully it's the president of Japan.
Could you imagine if the one person in Japan was the president of Japan?
Japan has a president.
Is it the president? It's the emperor, right?
Yeah, they have a prime minister, don't they?
Yeah. I think the emperor.
They used to have an emperor.
Exist anymore. Yeah.
Is that like what we have with the king?
I know. I think they legit aren't a thing. I think they got rid of any form of royalty.
Yeah, wasn't the emperor colour like what Japan were like during World War II? Where they had a different flag, didn't they?
It was slightly redder, wasn't it?
Did they have like the rising sun, flag? Or am I making it up?
I know what flag you're talking about. I don't know whether it was a real flag or something from a
film.
On this week's episode of Flag Talk.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I would love to talk about flags.
Oh no, yeah. Rising sun flag.
Love.
It's the war flag.
There we go. The war flag. Yes, during World War II. Okay. So I'm talking some kind of sense.
Yeah, you are. To be fair, well done. Proud of you.
Okay. Perfect. Right. Well, so we've introduced both of you. What I haven't actually done is tell you what the episode is. So we're on episode 13, and in this episode, I've taken a little bit of inspiration from Owen actually. Because he's mentioned a film of this actor a couple of times. So in episode 13 this week, we will be talking about the legendary actor Denzel Washington.
Oh. Very nice.
Because Owen has mentioned Training Day a couple of times, if my memory serves me right. So I thought probably one of the greatest American actors of all time. So I thought it would be the perfect time to talk about him and his movies.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, interesting. Good or
I think
like?
Owen.
Oh, I'm
I
not
think
sure.
for the first time ever, Owen will have seen more films in this category than I have.
Have you seen the one where he's blind?
Oh, the Book of Eli.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have seen that.
Oh, that's with Gary Oldman, right?
And Mila Kunis.
Mila Kunis. Yeah, it's not. I'd say it's not a great
No,
movie.
it's terrible.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, of course you did. You like Rain of Fire.
But I will let you down very early on and say that is not on the list of
Have you seen
movies.
Coward.
Have you seen Oblivion with Tom Cruise?
Yeah, that's a great film.
And
Yes.
Rebecca Ferguson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. Just wanted to clear that up.
Is that the one with Olga Kurylenko
Who's that?
Yeah.
and Morgan Freeman?
Morgan
Morgan
Freeman's
Freeman's the bad guy. Is that?
Spoilers.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
one of the Sun people, isn't he?
Yeah, but who turns out to be a baddie?
Does he?
No, I think so.
Oh, that's a spoiler. I thought you said the spoiler that Morgan Freeman was in it. I was like, I'm sure his name's in the film. Surprise guess. Surprise, motherfuckers. It's Morgan Freeman. So, in the last episode, we started a new rule. So, somehow, you've not listened to episode 12, but you're listening straight into episode 13 from listening to the other episodes. We do things a little bit differently now. I get the two boys to write down the score of the film, and then I get them to announce it to stop them from one-upping each other to make it a bit more interesting. And that seemed to go in Owen's favour last week. So they've got their pen and papers ready. So we're going to start with the first film, and a film that I rate very highly, personally. We're going to start with Spike Lee's Malcolm X. So as this is the first round, I just want you to... Oh, Owen, have you got a question?
I officially told my family that I do a podcast this weekend.
Bit late.
Wait,
Only
they didn't know you've done a
after
podcast?
12 episodes, you've now decided now's the time.
And nearly two years
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
I wanted to make sure it was going well before I
2022.
released it to the public. So
We'll put it out in Japan.
I like
but
that
we
you've
won't
now
put it
picked
in
now that we're-
Northampton.
So we're going to start with the 1992 movie Malcolm X, directed by Spike Lee. So at this stage, this is the first film. Just write down your score.
Is
No
it a
high
Spike
or
Lee
low at this
joint?
point. It is a Spike Lee joint. It is. You are correct, Owen. So as you're writing your scores down, I'll give you a little bit of a rundown of what Malcolm X is about. It's a biographical epic of the controversial and influential black nationalist leader Malcolm X, starring Denzel Washington as Malcolm X. So, scores on the board, boys. Have you got your score written down?
I do.
yep.
Perfect. Right. Hit me with your score. Let's go with the current champion. Let's go with Owen Cox. What did you go with for Malcolm X?
75.
75. Okay, George, give me your score as well.
I went a bit higher on 83.
Whoa.
83. Okay, right. So, both gone high. Let's hear from Owen. Owen, have you watched Malcolm X? Is this one that you've watched?
I'm aware of Malcolm X and the history of Malcolm X, but I haven't seen the film because it's about 4 hours long. And every time I've gone to watch it, I've looked at the runtime and gone, fucking hell, I've really got that much time on my hands.
Yeah. So not quite 4 hours, but it's just shy of 3.5 hours long. So it is a long movie.
It's a
so it's
slog.
definitely a commitment. It's a
Yeah.
slog and a commitment. But I always say that there's films that are that long that sometimes don't feel that long. I would say personally that Malcolm X doesn't feel that long. If that helps in any way for people who want to watch a 3.5 hour movie about Malcolm X. But that's completely up to you. I'm not going to force you to watch it.
Generally, I'm not a huge fan of Spike Lee's films either, which also puts me off.
It-
Is that
Interesting.
'cause
Okay.
Deep down,
What
you're
one's a-
racist?
No, it was just-
I'll cut that. Don't worry.
This is when Owen goes, "Don't cut it." I am. I'm not scared anymore. My family listen. I'm not hiding my
Proof of
true self.
we need to get the Northampton listeners on board. So
Yeah, after this episode, we're gonna have a massive spike of white nationalists just listen to the podcast.
officially endorsed by the BNP.
What I will add though is that Denzel Washington was nominated for Best Actor.
As we learned previously, that doesn't mean anything.
No, it doesn't. We learnt that last week, the last episode, and the only other Oscar nominee or Oscar it got or nomination it was Best Costume Design.
No,
so
fair.
didn't even get a Best Film, Best Director. So kind of snubbed in a
Maybe
way.
I've gone too high.
But Owen, you haven't watched it, George. I'm going to assume for some reason that you haven't watched this movie.
No, I could tell you very little about Malcolm X as a person. I know who they are in history, but not really much about their life or anything like that. Nor have I seen the Denzel Washington version of events.
Right. Normally I think a lot of the time with like a biopic, because this is one I have watched and I own it. It's a lot of the time when you get like a biopic film, sometimes they can be a little bit off the mark or not completely truthful.
Isn't it a biopic?
I was literally about to say the same thing.
But biopic.
I always
What's
said
wrong with that?
biopic, and somebody said to me, "It's not biopic, it's biopic."
Biopic? Really? I've never heard that ever. But what I will say, it's based on
I'm not
true events.
100%.
It's a film based on true
Yeah.
events.
There's another word that
but
Ian is
he's,
going to ignore. He's not going to say sin.
Yeah,
and
I'm
he's
going
not
to
gonna
completely
say
ignore that.
biopic.
Look, I want to say, since doing this podcast, I say seen and been.
Yeah,
Now,
we drilled that out.
That's absolutely fucking
You
bullied
did,
it.
you did. Yeah, I've had to have therapy in between some episodes for the incessant bullying I've had.
Have you
but,
seen a therapist or seen one?
Oh, for fuck's sake. Right, cut the show, I'm done. But spoiler alert, his widow was a consultant for the film.
Oh, cool. So it's faithful.
So it is faithful to the events that happened in Malcolm X's life. But I personally think it's a very good film. It's not one that I've watched many times, but the times I have watched it, I do think it's very good. So it's one that I would recommend to people if you have a spare 4 hours
Yeah.
or in an evening or weekend. So I'm going to go straight to the scores. George, you went with 83 and Owen went with 75. So you both went very high. Is that a hand up, George, or
No,
are you
I'm
just relaxing?
stretching.
You're
I'm
just
just
chilling?
bracing myself for impact is what I'm doing.
George has just got a hand on the wall like he's about
Last
to
time I got it
chat
spot
up a
on the
girl
first one, didn't I?
in the club or something. Hey, do you come to this podcast often? I'm here all the time. Right, so I can let you know that Owen was only 2 out,
Oh.
so Malcolm X is the score 73. So Owen gets the 2 points, George gets 0. So Owen, like last episode, has taken the early lead.
I still
so
feel
Owen
like
is
it should be 1
2-0
point.
up.
And I feel like once upon a time we were doing 1 point for the first one.
Look, all I want to say is that this was not forced upon both of you. You both agreed that this is that we would do, and I'm just simply being respectful to the rules that have been created by the two of you. It's a creative space, George. You had an input in this,
Yeah,
so that's all I'm going to say. So with that, with George already bitching that he's losing, I'm going to move on because we've had enough of that already. Let's go on to the next movie. I hope this is one that you have both watched. It's the Tony Scott classic Crimson Tide, starring Denzel Washington and Gene Hackman. So get your scores on the board for that one, please. This is the 1995 Tony Scott movie. A very tense action blockbuster, actually. Basically, you don't know what Crimson Tide is about. Set on a US nuclear missile sub, a young first officer played by Denzel Washington stages a mutiny to prevent his trigger-happy captain, played by Gene Hackman, from launching his missiles before confirming his orders to do so. So a very tense action movie from the mid-90s. So let's go with George on this one. So George, give me your score for Crimson Tide.
So I put 64.
64, so he's gone lower. Owen, let's get your score.
58.
Oh, fuck you!
58. So Wait, George, why are you saying fuck you?
Because I wanted to have the lower. I wanted to be like on the lower point so I could block him out, because it's an action film, and I know you're saying it's super tense and things, but it's still an action film, and historically on this podcast, they do not do more than 60-ish.
Okay, well, we'll soon find out. I've got a funny feeling that this is a film that both of you you haven't watched. Am I correct?
You are correct, sir.
Not in my case. I have seen it, but I haven't seen it in absolute years.
Right. So, what can you remember anything of the film, of your experience of watching it?
I remember,
Owen?
isn't it set during the Cold War?
I don't know if it's necessarily set during the Cold War. I've got a feeling that it's kind of in modern day, but there's the threat of like nuclear weapons being used.
I do remember the scene where he refuses to launch the torpedoes. It's quite a famous scene, isn't it?
Yeah. Really famous scene.
Do you know what? I might actually watch that this weekend. What did I say I was going to watch last time?
You were going to watch
Birdman.
Birdman. Yeah, did you watch Birdman yet, actually?
Nope. Still not watched it.
Oh, for bloody hell's sake.
Weak sauce.
You need to actually start watching movies, Owen.
I know. And then rate
I watched
them as
Saltburn the other day. I logged it. I logged Saltburn.
You did log it, but you didn't rate it.
You did.
I don't rate films.
So just to let you all know, if you are newish to the podcast, Owen doesn't give ratings, his own personal ratings of films, but he does give star ratings for albums for some reason. I'd love to hear the reason why Owen does that, but I feel like we're going to get nowhere with the answer.
Yeah, we'll be here all day.
Just to throw it out there, to maybe, I've already got your scores, so you can't change, but Crimson Tide did get 3 Oscar nominations.
Oh, shit.
So it got more than Malcolm X. It was nominated for Best Sound, Best Film Editing, and Best Sound Effects Editing.
Oh, yeah, but it's
so
not
any kind of big major ones, but still it still counts. Yeah, it's just obviously the smaller,
Didn't Bohemian Rhapsody
smaller kind of categories.
Didn't that get nominated or even win Best Editing?
I can
It
trump
did
that.
win Best Editing. Oh, gone.
The 2016 Suicide Squad got Best Makeup Design, didn't it?
I believe it. Yeah, I think it
won
definitely
or
got
nominated?
nominated.
No, it won.
But
I think you might be
Fucking
right.
bollocks.
Yeah,
Suicide
I'll
Squad
double check
film
that
won
at
an
some
Oscar.
point.
okay, so from this point forward, never trust the Oscars. It means jack shit on ratings.
What I also would like to say about Crimson Tide is that it has one of the best soundtracks by Hans Zimmer.
It's a
If
Hans
you are a
Zimmer
fan of
soundtrack.
Hans Zimmer, yeah,
It's
it
Hans
is,
Zimmer
and
joint.
It's bloody. Do you know what? Anything sounds better when you say like joint at the end of it. A Spike Lee joint's such a cool original way of saying, this is my movie, this is my joint. Imagine if there was like some kind of like period drama, but it was like an Owen Cox joint, Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah.
It'd be like, it
I like a
doesn't
good
fit, but it makes it almost cooler.
I like a good Agatha Christie joint.
I would like to add as well that in this film, alongside the legendary Gene Hackman and Denzel Washington, we have Viggo Mortensen and James Gandolfini.
Is that Aragon?
So it's got a very
And Tony Soprano.
Aragon. Yes, this is pre Lord of the Rings. So a very good supporting cast as well. So all round, it's got a lot going for it. Owen doesn't remember too much about the film. George hasn't watched it.
I think I
I
can.
have seen it.
again.
I think I can picture the poster in my mind. No, I can't. That's Hunt.
I'll
That's
show you
Hunt
the
for
poster.
Red October. Yeah, never seen that.
I would say though that it's quite similar to the poster to Hunt for Red October. It's quite similar-ish.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're
There's a
they're not
submarine
far
and there's
out in
red,
terms of.
So done.
Yeah,
Easy.
exactly. So you're not far off. Easy to get them mixed up. But as Owen hasn't watched it for a long time, can't remember it all too well. What I will say, I've already said it already, but it's a very, very good action kind of tense film, all set on the submarine, with what you wouldn't normally expect in a film of its kind of genre, with really solid acting from Denzel Washington and Gene Hackman, both kind of at the top of their game. So it's not kind of like your throwaway blockbuster movie. It's a very, very well acted and tense 90s blockbuster. So add
Sounds
that
like
to your
this.
list of films to watch.
It's times like this where we need to call upon our old friend from Letterboxd, Gremlin, and see what they had to say about it.
Number one Gremlin fan.
Do you know what, one day, Owen, I feel like we will revisit our famed Letterboxd user. Maybe I'll use that for next time, and I'll give you some breakdowns on what they thought of the last few films. But I'm going to move on to the results from this one. So, George, you went with 64, so you went lower, and Owen went with 58. So I can say that you were both right with it being lower. George was the closest. There's only two out. Crimson Tide's on 66.
Oh, thank God.
So George gets the 2 points and Owen gets the 1 point. So Owen is still in the lead, this time with 3 points, and George with 2. So next film on the list. Again, I'm really hoping this is a movie that you've both watched. This is one that I haven't
This will
watched.
have to be another episode that we just
Oh,
fucking
perfect.
bin again.
Another lost episode. It's another a biopic. Let's say biopic. The Hurricane, the 1999 boxing movie.
Reuben
Hurricane.
Carter, talk to me.
Oh, there we go. Owen knows. So get your scores down on the board. So as Owen has already said, it is based on the story of Reuben Hurricane Carter, a
Also
boxer
got trivia.
wrongly imprisoned for murder, and the people who aided in his fight to prove his innocence.
Dylan, the Hurricane.
So there you go.
Absolute banger.
So right, we've got one that Owen has definitely watched.
Who directed it?
Also, Norman Jewison, who also directed the likes of Jesus Christ Superstar, Moonstruck. So he's quite versatile.
Yeah.
I'll say, in the kind of films that he makes. So I'm quite impressed by that. So how have you two got your scores written down?
Yeah.
Yeah, right, Owen, back to you. What have you gone with for the Hurricane?
Oh, I haven't written it down. Bear with.
I feel like about 90% of the time just talking to George.
Yeah.
And then Owen just kind of comes back to reality.
Hey,
I
this,
mean,
is,
10%
this,
of the
is, this
time.
is Owen's episode. Denzel Washington.
I was singing the song in my
That is
head.
very true.
Pistol shots ring out in a ballroom night. And a Patty Valentine from the upper hall. She sees the bartender in a pool of blood. Screams out, my God, they've shot them all. Here comes the story of the hurricane. That's as best as I can remember it.
I'll tell you what,
Catchy.
Owen is available for birthday parties, weddings, bar mitzvahs, funerals.
He does that.
Even,
Does that thing where you pop out of a cake in a bikini.
And he goes, "Happy birthday, Mr. President." He'll do anything really for a couple of quid, Owen.
Yeah.
Right. So, Owen, let's hear your score for the Hurricane. What have you given it?
I've lowballed it because it's a weird one. I don't know whether it would be really high or kind of middling. So I've gone 72, but I've got a feeling it could be like possibly even mid to late 80s. I'm completely unaware of the critical reception with this film.
Right. So you've gone with 72, George.
Ah.
Yeah, you've got a bit of a puzzled look. You're being a little bit thrown off maybe by Owen's score. Is that right?
Yeah, I went the other way. I went lower. I thought.
Oh, you went lower.
Yeah,
Okay.
judging on the director's previous works or other works,
History.
and kind of the premise, I went for 60. Bang on.
Oh, bang on 60. So you've gone lower than Crimson Tide on 66. Interesting. Okay. So, George, have you watched The Hurricane?
I have never even heard of this film, so
Right, boy off George.
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
Owen, tell me about The Hurricane.
It's about a boxing champion who's framed for murder because he was black. And he gets sent down for life. And I think he served like 30 years in the end. And there was like a huge campaign to free him because of a wrongful conviction. And Bob Dylan wrote a song called The Hurricane. It's quite a good song, actually. I gave you a little rendition earlier.
Okay.
His is way better.
So
Mine's not far off. But
did he write and release the song when he was still
whilst he was imprisoned.
Yeah.
Yeah, the song
when-
is the
what
story
kind
of the case.
What time period was this then, Owen? Because you also know
believe
quite
it
a
was
fair
the
bit about
70s.
this. 70s. So like George said, he was still in prison at the time. Bob Dylan then wrote the song "The Hurricane" in aid to kind of support his release from prison. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe so. I wasn't there, so I don't remember. But I think they have the song in the film, but they don't acknowledge that Bob did it. I think it was a lot of celebrities were involved in it. There was a whole campaign to have him released because it wasn't conclusive evidence.
How did they hear about
in the
it?
film? In the film, it's a bunch of students, isn't it? Have you seen it, Ian?
No, George. This is one of the many one of the few boxing movies I should say that I haven't actually watched, but one that's been on my list for years and years and years.
I've seen it maybe twice. I don't know if the story of the film is true to the story of real life, but it's a group of students who come together, law students, I believe, to basically fight for his cause. Because I think he exhausted his appeals and there was some kind of legal jargon, rigmarole. I'm not sure. You'd have to watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've watched it, you probably understand what It's hard to articulate.
Yeah, because I've done a bit of research beforehand on it, just to kind of get a bit more on it, and it wasn't based on his like autobiography, so he didn't write his own book of what the film was based on. It was based on a biography called The 16th Round, which was written by so it's based on two books, The Lazarus and the Hurricane and The 16th Round. And like you said, Aaron, Bob Dylan's protest song "Hurricane" features throughout the film, which was based on Carter's biography. But interestingly, I was also found out that at the time, Wesley Snipes and Samuel Jackson were really close to playing him as well before Denzel Washington
Samuel Jackson
got the role eventually. Yeah, I mean, thinking this is 1999, so
Wesley Snipes possibly.
Wesley Snipes possibly, but I think Denzel Washington was nominated for an Oscar, so I've had 3 movies in a row where there's been Oscars involved with all the films so far. Just goes to show that Denzel Washington and the Oscars go hand in hand. But he didn't win for this one, but was a nominee in the act of a leading role. Let's get to the scores. George has, I think, had a little nap during that film. So George went with 60 and Owen went with 72. So George went lower than the last film. And Owen went higher. So the result of that one is that one of you are only 2 out, and that was Owen. The score, the Hurricane 74. So Owen takes the 2 points. It goes on to 5. It takes a 5-2 lead at nearly the halfway stage. So next on the list is one that we have mentioned a few times that Owen's brought up quite a few times on the podcast.
American Gangster.
No, Training Day. The absolutely brilliant Training Day, the 2001 movie by
ain't got shit on me.
There we go. We're already getting the quotes out. The Antoine Fuqua movie from 2001. Let's get your
also
scores
directed
written
Suicide
down.
Squad. Sorry to keep
No.
interfering.
No,
But-
Antoine Fuqua did not direct
No.
Suicide Squad. That was David Ayer.
He did.
Yeah, no, he didn't.
Oh. What else is David Ayer?
David Ayer, I believe, wrote Training Day. He did write Training Day, but he didn't. But David Ayer directed Suicide Squad.
God, that's
Antoine
a fall from
Fuqua
grace.
did The Equalizer. He did a film called The Guilty a couple of years ago with Jake Gyllenhaal. So David Ayer was director of Suicide Squad, not Antoine Fuqua. Sorry, Owen.
Don't know why I ever test your knowledge.
Right,
You didn't
get
even
your
have to look on
scores.
Google there, did you?
No, I did. I just know it's David Ayer because he's been talking
God, who
since
just knows
20
that?
You're like fucking,
since
you're
2016
Rain
about
Man for films.
my Suicide Squad cut is out there somewhere. David Ayer, no one cares. We've had a better Suicide Squad movie already. Give up, no one cares.
Oi, that film won an Oscar.
Potentially.
And Malcolm X didn't. Crazy. Right, get your scores written down. If you already have, I'm going to give a breakdown of the film. So, a rookie cop played by Ethan Hawke spends his first day as a Los Angeles narcotics officer with a rogue detective played by Denzel Washington, who isn't what he appears to be. This is a movie that I rate very, very highly and one that I've watched numerous times, and it never, ever
All
gets
right.
old.
If George hasn't seen it, you're giving him hints there.
Oh,
Well, all I'm saying, if George hasn't watched this film, I think I might just give him -2 points because I'm getting sick and tired of you two not watching fucking films. It's your job.
I think he's
You're on
not
a
seen
film
this.
podcast.
You can't punish me when Owen hasn't seen the multiple films in previous episodes. This is the one episode where I haven't seen the films.
To be fair,
We had
did
one
do a
episode
whole...
where you'd seen every Fast and Furious. There was a theme. It was a themed episode.
Yeah, George was the only one. I was with Owen. I was like, I don't know any of these.
Oh,
I've
what
only
an
watched like
episode
2
that
of
was.
them.
That's the best episode. If you haven't
Well.
listened to the Fast and Furious episode, it is a corker. I
Basically,
hope you like the sound of
reason
this
why-
voice.
I was about to say the only reason why George says it because it's effectively a one-man show. me and Owen took a break on that episode.
yeah.
I think if we get to the end of this episode and you haven't seen any of these films, I think we might have to ask some questions about why.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell
there
you
an
what. If
agenda
George
at play?
hasn't watched Training Day, I'll be shocked. But let's get George's score for Training Day. So, George, have you gone higher or lower than the Hurricane on 74?
I've gone on a punt and I've said lower, down to 65.
gone lower.
Yeah.
Oh my
60.
god!
Oh, Owen doesn't
There's
like
method.
that.
There's method to my madness.
Or you're just mad.
Or I'm
Yeah,
just
you're just
fucking
mad.
Who
upset,
knows?
yeah.
Who knows? We'll soon
Yeah.
find out. Owen's seen shots, so I feel like Owen has gone higher. Is that correct?
80.
You've got 80, sorry.
80, yeah, 80.
I thought you said meaty. I was like, meaty.
It can be if you
So
want.
he's got right. So George has gone with 65, and Owen's gone high of 80. So two difference in 2 rounds in a row of difference in opinions. So, before I get disappointed by George, eventually disappointed by George for him saying he's not watched Training Day, Owen, let's hear your thoughts on Training Day because this is one that you have mentioned a couple of times on the podcast and off the podcast about a film that you really enjoy. So let's hear your passion for Training Day.
It's a childhood classic for me. I've seen it loads of
A
times. I've been trying to get
childhood
Zuki to
classic
watch it.
Training Day. I love that. A lot of people be like childhood classic, Toy Story, Forrest Gump. You know, I love it. The film about a narcotics officer in LA is Owen's childhood movie. Does that say a lot about your childhood or your upbringing, Owen?
Possibly. Read into that what you will. I've been trying to get Zuki to watch Training Day for years, and I feel like she's got this like smug arrogance about it, like it's just another shit police action film. But it's so much more.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it is.
It's brilliant. And it doesn't outstay its welcome. It's quite a short film, isn't it? Is it less than 2 hours?
It's just over 2 hours, 2 hours and 2. 2 hours, 2 minutes. So just over the 2 hours. But I would say it doesn't feel like a slightly over 2 hour movie.
Ethan Hawke is good in Training Day, but I can't think of anything else I've seen him in.
He's in that Eye in the Sky drone. Not Eye in the Sky. I can't remember what it's called. He's a drone pilot in it. He's also in Sinister. He's in the... Is it called The Black Phone?
Oh yeah, Black Phone. Yeah, Gattaca.
Boyhood? No, not Boyhood.
Boyhood.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Boyhood. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the Before trilogy as well. So
Is
yeah,
Black
it's quite.
Phone the one that's by Joe Hill?
Yes. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's directed by
Scott-
him, but it's the story. It's
Scott
based on his
Scott
story.
Short
Derrickson
story.
directed the Black
Oh, yeah,
Phone,
there you
who also did the first
That was
Doctor
really good.
Strange and Sinister.
And The Exorcism.
The Black
of
Phone
Emily
was really good.
Have you seen it?
I haven't watched the
seen
Black
it.
Phone.
No,
Yeah, I've seen it in cinema.
Nice.
Oh, it was brilliant. We went to see it on a random like Sunday night. I think there was like 4 people in the cinema. We got Starbucks before. There was no queue. Large popcorn each. It was absolutely brilliant. One of the best
Who-
cinema experiences I've ever had. Back in
And
the
there's
good
no
old
one
days.
talking. There's no one talking in it either.
Yeah.
That makes it even better. I would say Owen Owen is quite renowned for calling people out in the cinema. One of the only times I've actually seen a film with him. 50. I've only watched 2 films with Owen in the cinema, and 50% of the times he shouts at girls to shut the fuck up, basically. And I feel like since then, when me and Ruby have gone to the cinema, we literally had a full blown like argument with someone in the cinema about 2 weeks ago because they wouldn't shut up and they're on their phone the whole time. I basically said, "Can you shut the fuck up?" And she was like, "Can you not swear at me? Can you not be on your fucking phone?" So I was had a bad influence
I'm proud
on
of
me.
you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
No, that's
I
how
was
it should
hoping
be.
you were
You
going
pay,
to say that.
you pay like 16 quid to watch a film. I don't want some knobhead in front of me talking through the whole thing on their phone. Otherwise, I'd just watch it at home, wouldn't I?
That is true.
And that knobhead at home would be me.
If Suki talks throughout the film at home, Owen, do you tell her to shut up?
You shout, "Oh, just grow up." Was the classic line from Owen.
I pay mortgage to live here, and I want to film in peace.
Oh, me and Zuki are both quite respectful of each other's engagement when we're watching a film.
That's good. That's how it should be.
Well,
What I would
Ethan
like
Hawke.
to add as well. Ethan Hawke. Yeah, we were talking about the films of Ethan Hawke. And do you know what? It's actually really interesting to say that because you kind of reeled off a couple of his films. And then in my head, I was like, I really can't name many Ethan Hawke movies. Off the top of my head, I really am struggling.
I just gave you 4.
But I would... Well, yeah, but like normally say for like Samuel Jackson, you could I could name like 10 easy or like anyone.
10 last year.
Yeah, 10 last year. Yeah.
But Ethan Hawke is in a lot of direct-to-DVD type. He's similar to Nicolas Cage in that vein. Like if you go onto all these like streaming services, he's always in some weird, shitty action thriller that's kind of just released and gone under the radar.
I would actually say I agree. He recently had a Amazon original movie that clearly no one has ever heard of, and I went on Amazon the other day. I was like, Ethan Hawke's got a new Amazon movie? I've not heard of this, and I won't be watching it.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to know if he's got the same agent as Michael Fassbender.
Does Michael Fassbender do
Why did you
anything?
say that?
Well, Michael Fassbender has the worst agent in Hollywood. Some of the roles he's taken up over the last 10 years have been catastrophic for his career.
Give an example that's not Assassin's Creed.
Snowman.
I didn't.
I've heard that's yeah. But he did take I think a few years break to become a race driver, didn't he?
He failed tragically.
No, did
He
it?
missed out on Le Mans like 4 times in a row.
Yeah. But he's come back now. I think he did say that he was feeling a bit burnt out because he was obviously doing the X-Men movies and the movies in between. So he was kind of working non-stop and almost kind of like burnt out, and then decided to drive cars for a couple of years and come back and do a couple of films. So he's officially back
Real
now.
burnouts.
Go from
yeah.
I like how racing cars was his. I want a less pressure, more chill job.
He was trying to qualify for Le Mans year after year. He got the financial backing, but he couldn't quite get his times down to qualify.
There we go.
So he's come
Stick to your
crawling
day
back
job.
to Hollywood. Yeah, crawling back to Hollywood, making millions and millions a movie.
Yeah.
But what I would like to add, though, for Training Day, again, George, I will get to you at some point, but the likes of Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg and Macy Gray all make cameos and have roles in Training Day, and they're all actually pretty good. So let's go on to George, and let's hear your thoughts on Training Day, George. Just want to add, this is the 4th movie on the list.
This is the 4th movie in the list.
Tell me all about Training Day, George.
Training Day.
Training Day. Is it a day of training?
And not school training days.
Yeah. So the kids aren't in. Teachers turn up late. So I haven't seen it.
It's a movie with people.
It's a movie. Ethan Hawke is in it.
Yeah.
Denzel Washington is also in it. Denzel Washington, bad bloke.
Eva Mendes.
Yeah.
There's some gang stuff in there. Yeah.
What kind of gang stuff?
Like drug gangs, street gangs.
I would say no, actually.
Well, I haven't seen
I
the
would
film,
also like
so how
to
the fuck am
add
I supposed to know?
That I believe
It's more
that
mafia related, I would say. Russian mafia.
Terry Crews is in this movie.
What do you mean?
Is he?
I'm pretty sure he's in this. He plays one of
I'm not sure about that, Ian.
No? I'm going to find.
Can we get a cast check on IMDb?
Terry Crews
I'm going to do that right now.
In 99.
Yeah, why not?
Oh, was that his first role? Because he was still NFL, wasn't he?
Was he?
I swear.
First time I saw him in was White Chicks.
Am I chatting shit?
First thing I saw him was White
When did Everybody Hate
No,
Chris come
he
out?
is. He's actually technically uncredited.
Oh,
This is 2001, but he is in the film. He's kind of one of the gang members in the neighborhood where Des Washington does a lot of work in.
Oh,
would
yeah.
you
But
say
he
that he
is
is part of a street gang?
Well, I mean, he's a gang member on the street, so
Street Gang. Boom.
yes,
Suck
street
it.
gang.
I know this one better than you, Owen. Give me
Um,
an extra point.
I
I,
don't
need
think
it.
I don't think we've actually gone into what the film. I gave a synopsis. I don't think we've actually gone into what the film is actually about.
So Denzel
but
Washington is like a dirty cop.
wanna know?
He's like this. He's Ethan Hawke's like shadowing him and sees all the interactions that Denzel Washington is having with these kind of like street level gangs and things like that. And it goes a little bit deeper, and there's question marks over whether he has these connections to the criminal underworld in like a professional sense where it's good for the police, or whether he is just like bad bloke. But it's also tied into like Denzel Washington's background when from him growing up and how he used to have that life and moved into the police and things like that.
You were doing so well until that final bit, and then I think your own internal prejudice came out.
I was really
Gave it a
expecting George to
jolly
be
good
like,
go.
and then at some point things go really badly, and then Iron Man just comes out of nowhere and saves the day and saves
Yeah.
even
It
Hawke.
turns out
Like,
his cousin is the Hulk.
and then even
Yeah.
Hawke goes, Denzel Washington, you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. Fuck. This is an Avengers movie before we even knew it.
See,
Yeah, do you know
Were
what?
you reading that off of Google?
no, I was just like making up what I think the film is about.
I
You
feel
actually
like
were pretty spot on until like the last 10 seconds.
Oh damn! All right.
Yeah.
I feel at some point George was reading the official script. He was going
Yeah.
internal police
It was
car,
like I was watching it.
LA daytime. Denzel Washington, even Hawke
my hands are
in a
here.
police car.
This is why I've given it a slightly lower score, because if I can roughly get the plot based on seeing a couple of like pictures throughout my life, it can't be that good. Like not that good. I'm sure it's a fantastic film, but not that good in the eyes of the critics is what I would say.
Well,
We're trying to
shall
say
I-
it's cliche.
yeah.
Yeah. Should I add something just to kind of maybe make you worry, George? Not to say
All
you
right.
should.
How many
but
Oscars
add-
did it get now?
Well, Ethan Hawke and Denzel Washington were both nominated in
Oh, no.
supporting role and leading role. Denzel Washington won Best Actor in a Leading Role for Training Day. Ethan Hawke was nominated for Best Actor in a Supporting Role. So
Maybe next time lead with that.
maybe next time.
With that.
maybe next time, George, watch some fucking movies and become a little bit more prepared.
Yeah, I apologise.
Because so far, correct me if I'm wrong, you haven't watched a single Denzel Washington movie that I've mentioned. Is that correct, George? at the halfway point?
That is correct. I have not seen a single
have to
one
say-
of these.
I've seen 3 of the 4.
There
Well
you go.
done.
Look,
well done,
Owen,
Owen.
Owen is well
Thank you.
prepared today. He's showing it. He's educated today. George.
And the one I
just
haven't
wanna say.
seen has been on my watch list for many years.
And to be fair, that one is over 3 hours long, so I will let you off for that. What I would also like to say that I'm getting really thrown off because when I'm doing my research, an advert for a film called Indian Police Force keeps popping up to make me watch on Amazon Prime. I don't want to watch Indian Police Force. As much as it looks great, I really don't want to watch it. Right, so let's go to the scores then. So, George, you went lower with 65 and Owen went higher with 80. I can confirm that it's lower.
Yes,
than the
yes,
Hurricanes.
yes.
It's on 71.
Oh, thank God.
So
Oh.
George takes the 2 points and Owen doesn't get any points, unfortunately. So Owen is up on 5, George is on 4 points at the halfway stage.
Oh, thank God.
Right, so next one, I do think that this is one, George, you have definitely watched. Otherwise, if you haven't, I just think you should leave. This is the 2004 movie, also directed by Tony Scott, Man on Fire, starring Denzel Washington, Christopher Walken, and a young Dakota Fanning. So get your scores written down, boys. So Man on Fire stars Denzel Washington, set in Mexico City. Denzel Washington plays a former CIA operative who swears vengeance on those who committed an unspeakable act against the family he was hired to protect. It's an action crime drama. 2004. Another long movie, 2.5 hours. So have you got your scores written down? Are you ready to go? Yeah, Owen's ready. George is thinking hard. Right, who do I go with first? Did I go with Owen first last time?
I believe so.
Yeah, okay. George, right, hit me with your score. What have you gone with for Man on Fire?
I've gone lower. I went 63.
Okay, so gone lower, 63. Owen, what have you gone with?
I've gone with 46.
Ooh.
Oh, it's gone a lot lower. Okay, quite a big difference again between you two. George, I'm going to go straight to you. Am I right in thinking this is probably the first one on the list that you have watched?
I have not seen this film.
Ah, get out of it!
Fuck's sake.
Fucking hell!
I have heard of it. I haven't seen it. From the synopsis, it sounds like maybe this is one of the similar in vein to like The Equalizer, where it's like an enjoyable romp, but it's nothing decent in the eyes of critics.
Right, but what I would just like to add in there, George, as well, is that
how many
you've
Oscars
got
did
to a
this one
point...
get?
No, I won't get there yet. But what I want to say, we've got to a point which I don't think has ever happened in the history of the Rating is Right, is that Owen has booed you for not watching the films that are on the podcast, and this is the 5th movie in a row out of 5. So what you haven't watched 100% of the movies, and Owen booed you because of that. So I think you should just hold your head in shame for the rest of the episode. Just to give you an answer to that one, George, because you did ask you wanted it early doors. It didn't get nominated for any Oscars. So,
good. Fantastic.
If that helps in any way, that helps in any way to think that maybe you've gone the right way, I'll leave that with you. But, George, you haven't watched it. So, again, you could just maybe just shut the fuck up.
I'll just take a back seat. It's all right.
Owen's got the face that he has watched this. He's got the confidence that he's like, watched it, mate. I've watched this one. Is that right?
Yeah, I've seen this one.
Hell yeah.
I mean, judging by my score, I don't really like it that much. I think it's a bit boring.
Is it not?
I don't remember any men actually being on fire either, so the title's a bit of a...
Is this another childhood classic for you?
Did you watch it and go, I was lied to? I was lied to. There's no men on fire.
Unless somebody is on fire. I mean, you could probably find a still image of someone on fire in that film.
Well, what I'd like to say, the poster is with Denzel Washington kind of with a suit and sunglasses on, protecting a young Dakota Fanning with kind of fire, an explosion with fire in the background. So maybe
I do believe there is a scene where
the
there's an
environment
explosion,
is on fire. Maybe no men will on fire.
And he's walking away all cool in a shirt with a vest on underneath.
I can't see the vest because it's under the shirt, but maybe he's wearing a vest.
Yeah. I mean, I get this one mixed up with Two Guns, the one with Mark Wahlberg.
You get this mixed up with Two Guns?
Yeah, just a couple of Denzel films that are a bit ropey.
I didn't really realise that you get mixed up with Mark Wahlberg and Dakota Fanning.
No, I mean,
Dakota Fanning does have massive guns, to be fair, so I understand how you can get mixed up with the two.
I feel like Denzel treads a line of being in a good action film or a terrible one. Have you seen Safe House with, is it Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah.
Not great. I saw that at the cinema. Yeah, he's either in really good ones or really bad ones. There's no middle ground.
Average House.
Average, yeah.
If I could rename it. But apparently, a little bit of trivia actually, because I have watched Man on Fire, but it has been a little while since I've watched it. But Denzel Washington, I don't think says this a lot about his co-stars, but he was so impressed by Dakota Fanning's acting at such a young age that he kind of just forgot that he was acting. In a particular scene, he was kind of told Denzel lines.
Sounds like he was simping.
Yeah, is he about to be cancelled for a bit of nonsense?
Oh, I think maybe this is maybe where the downturn of movie starts. Because people are like, oh, he's a bit of a nonce. He loves little blonde girls. Okay, well, let's just go straight to the scores. So, George, you went with 63, so you think it's lower than Training Day on 71, and Owen went even lower on 46. I can say that one of you is one off. So you're both right of it being lower. Owen is the closest. Man of Fire's on 47. So Owen
Oh.
gets to 2 points, moves on to 7. George gets to 1 point, moves on to 5. Okay, let's move on to the third from last movie, a film that Owen thought I was talking about. The Ridley Scott American Gangster. So
Little
get
voice crack
your...
there.
Sorry, it was a little bit of a voice crack there. Skin so excited about American Gangster. So American Gangster, 2007 movie directed by Ridley Scott, based on the true events of
George's
the
favourite
Harlem
director?
drug lords. Sorry?
My favorite.
George's favourite director. I'm sure he's seen this one as well.
Favourite director. I'm sure he's watched this. I'm
Historically
confident at this
love
point.
Ridley Scott.
If he hasn't, then I feel like he may be banished forever. So based on the true events of the Harlem drug lord Frank Lucas, who is looked to be brought down by the outcast New York City cop, played by Russell Crowe, as mentioned, directed by Ridley Scott, also co-starring Chiwetel Ejiofor, Josh Brolin, John Hawkes, and Cuba Gooding Jr. So very, very
And
good.
T.I.
And a T.I., yeah, and I believe a young Idris Elba as well,
Yep.
before he became
It is Idris
quite
Elba.
big. Idris
put
Elba
money in the
plays
jar.
Idris Elba plays the gangster that is in charge of like New York before kind of Denzel Washington's character becomes like the big boss. He's the one he kind of knocks off to kind of...
That's a biopic, doesn't he?
He does. He
Yeah, is
really
this
does.
his
He's done a few
third
others
one?
that I've missed
Third one?
out. This is... Yeah, well, we've done The Hurricane, which was a biopic. Malcolm X. So he's a couple already.
American Gangster.
So,
Yeah.
an American Gangster, yeah. So this is
Frank Lucas.
three out of the ones we've done so far. So let's go over Owen. Let's get your score. So do you think that American Gangster is higher or lower than Man on Fire on 47?
Way higher. Way higher.
Or what have you gone with, Owen?
86.
86. Okay, yeah, so quite
Yeah.
a fair bit. George, what have you gone with for American Gangster?
I also think it's way higher. And I was contemplating going into the 80s, but I went 79. I chickened out.
Oh, 79. So this is kind of, yeah, you're both pretty close. Only 7 out between you. George, let's just get the disappointment out of the way.
Right, I haven't seen it, but I know what the poster looks
Move
like.
on, move
I've
on.
seen- I've seen the poster.
move on. We move on to my favourite co-host this week. No, go on, George. Finish it. What were you going to say? I feel like you're
No, that was
you're
literally
trying
it.
to
That
squirm
was
your way.
literally
You're
it,
trying
yeah.
to squirm your way through this episode, aren't you?
I was just saying I've seen the poster. That's all I wanted to add.
I haven't seen it, but I've seen the trailer.
Yeah.
Is it? I just want to guess. This is George. Just want to guess. Is it about a gangster in America?
Hey, I got
Just a
Training
guess.
Days synopsis pretty bang on. Okay, I crushed that one.
So what I will say is that the IMDb rating, which is the user rating, and the Metascore, which is by the critics, is very, very similar. And I don't think that's normally the case for films like that. So I feel like it's a film that is, a lot of people feel like they can agree on the score for the movie.
It's
and also
universally
just-
loved.
It's universally loved, yeah, by people. Just want to let you know also, George, nominated for 2 Oscars. None in the acting category. Only, sorry, that's a lie. Best performance by an actress in a supporting role by Ruby Dee, and achievement in art
Russell
direction.
Crowe.
No Russell Crowe, no Denzel Washington for
Wow.
For America, which is actually quite surprising because when I
Yeah.
think of Denzel Washington films or Russell Crowe movies, I always assume that they've had some kind of like big nomination in one of the kind of the top 3 BAFTA Globes or the Oscars, but they were completely snubbed.
Russell Crowe is brilliant in this film. I'd go as
Yeah.
far as saying it's probably his best role.
Yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't say it's his best role because you got the likes of kind of LA Confidential, Gladiator,
Gladiator, The Nice Guys.
But it's Nice Guys. But it's definitely in. If someone wants to say I've never watched a Russell Crowe movie, what should I watch? And I think American Gangster's on that list of movies that you would maybe recommend to someone. But George hasn't watched this, so
No.
again, sorry, George.
You know what my favourite scene is?
Go on.
In the interrogation where he pauses and he goes, "My man."
that is a gift that I feel like I use quite a lot.
Oh,
Yeah, same.
I've used that GIF. I've sent that.
I would try and get yourself involved.
I've
If you haven't seen it on the rest of them.
I've sent that GIF to Ian before.
I haven't seen this film, but I have seen a GIF from it.
Yeah.
Doesn't count.
George sends it to me when I say I'm available to play FIFA for him.
Yeah.
I feel like. And then if I know that I can play, I will send him the Denzel Washington gif of him looking a little bit tipsy, where he's kind of like. People can't see my face, but Denzel Washington's kind of a little bit tipsy on the edge. But it's personally for me, Ridley Scott, the director of the likes of Alien, Blade Runner, Gladiator. It's one of his
Napoleon.
one of his better modern movies. A film that shows that he can really make a decent film. He's quite hit and miss, personally. But, I mean, in terms of Denzel Washington performances and the ones that we've kind of talked about already, bear in mind, obviously, you have watched this. How would you rate Denzel Washington's performance in this? Is this top tier? Yeah, is this top tier?
I'd say it's about level with Training Day. They're such similar yet different characters, because in American Gangster, he's a bit more of a straight man, isn't he? He's all about business, to the point where he eventually got caught, as he did in real life, because he wore the mink coat, didn't he, to the boxing fight, and he showed he was being ostentatious. So he brought the police to his attention by wearing a fucking probably a $50,000 coat. They were like, "Who the fuck is this guy?"
Correct me if I'm wrong.
And he's not a
Frank
celebrity.
Lucas was the kind of person or gangster where he did a lot for people in the community. He kind of looked after his own.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Well,
he sold them all heroin.
Well, yeah. Apart from selling and heroin,
Yeah, damaged the community, destroyed it.
Damaged the community. But I feel like that he thought he was some kind of protector of his people without kind of realising how damaging
morality,
he was.
didn't he?
Yeah.
That's Russell Crowe's point in the film. He's so high on his own morality that Russell Crowe has to almost convince him that what he's doing is destroying his people, not building them up. You don't sell crack and heroin to people. They're life-killing drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, a little bit of weed. Never heard
Sell
of
the
one.
good drugs, mushrooms and weed. Come on, guys,
Yeah.
get it right.
Yeah.
Bit of Mandy, that's fine. Didn't kill anyone.
Yeah, don't do heroin, man. That's not good for you. But mushrooms are great. They're natural. But supposedly, actually, the real Frank Lucas was excited about the film, but admitted
World's most famous snitch.
Yeah, but admitted actually after watching it that only small portions of the film were actually true. So he went from excitement of watching his own film based on true events, actually saying that a lot of it didn't actually happen.
But is that not
So
just him
interesting.
being
Scene is real.
Is he not just being like, this didn't happen because I don't want to be found more guilty? I don't want to...
No, he got off because he snitched.
Yeah, well,
He snitched on just about every single person he ever worked with.
His take on it, we said that he feels a lot of it was overdone for kind of dramatic effect.
Right.
Which I feel like is generally the case for Hollywood movies when they make something on true events. You can sometimes take it with a pinch of salt. Did that actually happen, or was that just kind of been fabricated a little bit to kind of maybe get people more interested?
Is the Russell Crowe character a fabrication, or is that a real character? Is that someone who existed? The prosecution?
Yeah, so he plays Richie Roberts, who was a real person, which he did quite a lot of... What I know is he did a lot of extensive research on listening to tapes of his actual voice to try and mimic it and make it as accurate as possible. But he's also he also came at the real Richie Roberts, who Russell Crowe played, and said that he criticised the film for its inaccuracy and said that it made Frank Lucas, who was played by Denzel Washington, too noble. So both sides, both people who are portrayed in the film have both said that it wasn't really necessarily true to the events that happened in real life. Even though of its inaccuracies, American Gangster is still a very good film to watch. Right, let's go to the scores. So, Owen, you went with 86, so you went higher. George went with 79, also higher. You're both right, but being higher. The closest, though, was George. American Gangster on 76. So George gets the 2 points. Yeah, lower, a bit lower. But higher than Man on Fire.
76.
Yeah, still pretty high. Maybe not as high as you both would have thought, but that brings George a little bit closer. Owen is still in the lead with 8 points, and George is on 7. So let's go with the next movie. I'm hoping this is. I've got a feeling this is finally the one that George has watched. This is the 2010 action movie Unstoppable, starring Denzel Washington and Chris Pine, also directed by Tony Scott. The Scott brothers are appearing quite a lot today. So let's get your scores written down. Do you think that's high or low on American Gangster on 76? So as mentioned, this is the Tony Scott action thriller starring Denzel Washington and Chris Pine. So with an unmanned half-mile-long freight train barreling towards a city, a veteran engineer and a young conductor race against the clock to prevent a catastrophe.
Is this not called The Taking of Pelham 123?
No, that's
that's
the other one. That's the other train.
Yeah, that's the remake of the 70s, 80s movie. That one stars John Travolta and Denzel Washington, but they're only a couple of years apart. So he did 2 movies which were about trains, Chaos on Trains. Why? Don't know. Maybe he just is in his train era.
Yeah.
He's just really into trains.
Well, he already had Training Day, didn't he? So.
His agent called up. I've got a film about a plane. Not yet. I'm really into trains.
Let's start on the ground and work our way up.
Yeah. Give me some trains. I'll go to a helicopter next, and then a plane. So George, what's your score for Unstoppable? Is that high or lower than American Gangster on 76?
I have gone lower. I've gone all the way down to 52.
52. Owen, what have you gone with?
62.
Ooh.
62. So just slightly higher.
I haven't seen this one.
So Owen hasn't watched this one, right? Let's just get the disappointment out of the way. George, have you watched Unstoppable?
I have, and I watched it in the cinema.
Oh, wait! This is where we need some kind of sound effect where we've got like a round of applause. Wow, George has watched a fucking movie.
I have. Go team.
Right, okay, George. Right, let's hear it. This is the first time this episode we can actually give some kind of opinion.
Yeah.
Or take on a film. Right, this is all you, George. Go ahead. Go wild.
What a fucking boring film. This is one of the most boring films I've ever had the mispleasure of watching in the cinema. I thought it was absolutely fucking awful. There you go. There's my
You could have
opinion.
watched the other train film.
Fantastic. I love that the only film he's watched out of the potential 8... I won't announce what the next film is, but I already know that he hasn't watched it. But the one that he has watched, he does not enjoy. But what I'd like to point out before we go to the scores, that this was nominated for Best Achievement in Sound Editing.
Yeah, that's a nothing award. That's bullshit. That's whatever.
Right, okay, so George, he went with 52. I went with 62. So you both went lower, which I can say is correct. Owen is the closest. He gets the 2 points. Unstoppable was on, wait for it guys, 69.
Whee.
Nice.
That's too
Way
high.
higher than George
That's too high.
rated it.
Too high?
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to rewatch it as an adult, but that's bullshit.
The audience have it at 6.8 on IMDb, so again, pretty, a lot of people agree that it's around the same score. Above average,
They're biased.
69, 68. We're going into the last round. It's still all to play for. Owen's on 10 and George is on 8. So let's go on to the last.
Is it all to play for?
I mean, it is because, you could get this spot on.
Yeah,
and
you've already
win.
said that I haven't
Owen
seen this film.
True, but you can still get it right.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So it is still possible.
Never say never.
So the last Never say never. Last one on the list.
Justin Bieber said, didn't he?
Yeah, that's true.
Great.
Have you
great
seen
song.
That guy never misses.
Great film also. The last film on the list, 2012 film directed by Robert Zemeckis, Flight, another biopic. Get your scores written down for that.
Is this a biopic?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's based on true. It's based on true events.
Even I know that. I've read the Wikipedia synopsis.
Are you not thinking of Sully?
No, they're both. They're both plane films, but different people.
Well, so there was a drunk pilot who flew a plane upside down.
Yeah, well, so basically, I will say the synopsis. So, an airline pilot played by Denzel Washington saves almost all his passengers on his malfunctioning airliner, which eventually crashed. But an investigation into the accident reveals something troubling. Right, so last film was 69. Wait, Flight, higher or lower? Owen, what have you gone with for Flight?
Higher, 71.
71, he's gone higher. George, what have you gone for?
I've gone out on a limb. Higher, 83.
83. Oh, okie dokie. So we already know that, George, you haven't watched this.
This is his best piece of work, as far as I'm concerned.
I've got a feeling that maybe Owen hasn't watched Flight.
Seen Flight.
You
Oh,
didn't
you
know
have?
which-
Okay,
you didn't
but
know
you
which
know
film
it's based
it
on true
was.
events.
Sully, the one I haven't seen.
Oh, you haven't?
I've seen this one about planes.
Okay.
The last round, I'd seen the other film about trains, and this round, I've seen the other film about planes. I just get my trains and planes
Yeah,
mixed
yeah.
up. That's
Right,
all.
okay. So this is one that you have watched, just to confirm.
Yeah, it's really good,
Okay, it's really good. Yeah. Okay.
Great.
but also kind of sad. A lot of Denzel's films are like that. They're really
Put
good,
that
but
on the
also
put
kinda
that on
sad.
the DVD. Very good. But kind of sad. Owen Cox rating is right, and it's just got a little disclaimer: no star rating because Owen doesn't give star ratings.
Yeah,
It would just say, make your own mind up.
yeah.
My review.
Yeah, they'll look at your review on the back of the DVD and going, did this reviewer hate this movie because there's no star rating? Did he give it
Zero
did he give it
stars,
zero?
yeah.
Not too sure.
Anyway, it's a good film.
Cool.
I would rate it, but I don't give ratings, so I would just say it's an excellent watch. You only need to watch it once. No need to buy it physically, like a physical media wise. You just stream it. You know.
Are you promoting piracy on our podcast, Owen?
Yeah.
Are you promoting film piracy? Which
I mean,
which is
you could probably
illegal.
watch it in 82 parts on TikTok.
Yeah.
That's George's
What's the
preferred
film?
way of
What's
watching
the film?
movies.
What's the film with them two girls who climb that pole
Oh,
and they get
The
stuck?
Fool.
I watched that on TikTok.
Wait, you watched the whole film on TikTok?
Well, I watched like 16 different parts of it. Yeah.
Are you sure you watched the right movie, Owen? It wasn't just two other girls climbing a pole in a different movie. Not some kind of underground B movie that you found in like a bargain bin somewhere.
Somebody had uploaded the entire film in like 3-minute parts, and I think I watched like the final 10 parts.
Well, this is another Denzel Washington Oscar-nominated movie I'd like to add. Nominee, no
From
winner.
what I've seen of this, it is very good. And from reading this synopsis, it looks very interesting. And I think there's a lot of crossover with Sally, which I really like.
You watched the plane film with the white actor, didn't you?
Yeah.
This was saying about he was nominated for Flight. This was his first nomination since Training Day. So 11 years he went without an Oscar nomination. And I'll say it's probably one of his better, more recent last 10-ish years performances apart from Fences. So it's not one that people have watched and would like to watch. A Denzel Washington film they haven't seen, I would definitely put Flight on that list of films to watch. Shall we put George out of his misery,
Yes,
Owen?
please.
Shall we get the scores going?
Put that gun in my
Let's
mouth.
finalise the game. So George went with
Make it a hat
83.
trick.
Owen went with 71. So before I do reveal the scores, George, what will be your reaction if you made it to sudden death?
If I made it to sudden death, I'd get my dick out and proper helicopter it. And I really need a piss, so I'd probably piss everywhere as well at the same time.
It'll be like a Catherine wheel.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, Owen, if you make this, which I'm just double checking actually, I don't believe that you've won. I know, sorry, there's been one time that you've won 3 episodes in a row, and that was the 3rd, 4th, and 5th episode where you won 3 in a row, and you haven't done that since. So this could be your second hat trick of wins. What will this be better than your first hat trick?
You're only as good as your last win, so I would say yes. But this means nothing to me, so I'm just going to shrug it off and say, big deal.
If Owen wins this, does that put
Yeah.
us on level peggings of overall wins?
So George,
It's just another win to me.
So George, you've won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Owen has won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This would be the 6th, so he would be
'Cause
one
Suki won
behind.
Yeah.
Yes, so Owen would be 1 behind on overall wins.
Oh.
So it's a bit of a comeback if he does win. So let's get the scores done. So Unstoppable was on 69. You both went higher. It's correct with it being higher, which so probably gives you the result of the game.
Yeah.
The closest person was Owen. Flight's on 76.
Yes.
Owen went 71. So Owen gets the 2 points and ends up on 12, and George ends up on 9. So the final score, Owen on 12, George on 9. So Owen makes it a hat trick of wins.
Boo.
3 wins in a row.
Boo.
I've got to say, this is a great. I've got to say, I'm really enjoying this comeback. George is flustered.
I am
He is
fucking
so flustered. This new format has thrown George. I've got to say, George has not won an episode since episode 9. This is episode
only
13.
3 episodes ago.
Wow.
No,
4
4
episodes ago
4
now.
episodes ago now.
No,
Do you think you'll ever win
This is
again?
episode 12.
No, this is 13.
This is episode 13.
Oh, fuck me. Oh, no, I'm fucked.
So
He's
you last
delirious.
one episode. You last one episode 9.
Steve's going to be on in 2, so...
Yeah.
So I believe
You
the
better
last
win
one
the
you
next
won
one
was
or
the
you're
James
fucked,
Cameron
mate.
movies. So let's just update myself. So, Owen, you have the honour and privilege of recommending a film for us and our listeners to listen to. What is your film recommendation? I tell you, he's not even thought about it.
Go and watch Half Past Dead, which featuring Steven Seagal and Ja Rule.
Isn't this the... Did
I
you suggest a Steven
never-
Seagal film last time? I'm fairly
Yeah,
certain you did.
I think so.
Wait,
Yeah.
Owen, what's the name of that movie?
Half Past Dead.
Right, give us a breakdown, because I mean I'm never going to watch a film with Ja Rule and Steven Seagal, but let's hear. I
You
kind of
should,
want to
you
know
might enjoy it.
What is it about? Why should people watch this movie?
It's about a guy, about a big fat guy with shit hair who can't do karate but pretends he can. Infiltrates a prison to get some information from somebody who's in prison, but there's an FBI agent out to stop him, which I think is Ja Rule in the film. Could be. I don't know. I've not seen it, but I'm sure it's good.
Wait,
Wait,
you're recommending
wait,
a film
wait,
you
wait.
haven't seen. Ian, take the win off him right now.
I just put Steven Seagal into Google when a movies and clicked on one that looked interesting. I mean, if we're going to do the Steven Seagal watch along, we've got to start somewhere. So this is one for you both to watch.
generally, Owen, no. If you win, you recommend a film that you have watched because you know there's a good film that people will enjoy. You just recommend a movie with Ja
People
Rule
will
and
enjoy
Steven
this.
Seagal, which I probably will say, let's just save the people the time of not watching that film.
Yeah, good
'Cause
laugh.
it sounds... Well, look, people, if you want to waste an hour and a half of your time
All
watching
right,
an
I'll give you a
overweight
better
Steven
one.
Seagal do karate...
No,
That's
you
why
don't
I
get
no,
to.
think of
You
it.
don't get to.
Own your pick,
No, I'll give you a
Owen.
better one.
It is on 3% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, so it'd be brilliant. It'd be well funny.
3%.
Watching Steven Seagal trundle around fucking 23 stones, sweaty mess.
I've got to say, Owen, if a particular film critic emails back saying that they would not like to be on our podcast, I'm going to say that you are the person to blame for that.
Yeah.
Well, watch C Spot Run instead then.
No, you get one. You get one and you're
No,
done.
you get one. And you've picked the one with
Okay, what was that one
one
called?
of the
What was
lowest
first one called?
movies
half
on Rotten
past
Tomatoes.
dead. He's forgotten what
Yeah.
the fucking film was.
It's only an hour and 46 minutes. You can get through that before you go
That's
to bed
longer.
tonight.
That's longer than Unstoppable, which I thought was the most boring film ever.
I've got to say, Owen, I don't think at 20 past 10 on a Thursday evening I'm going to watch a 3% rated Steven Seagal and Ja Rule movie. I might just give that a miss.
It's got American rapper and record producer Corrupt in it too.
If it isn't good enough for you to watch, Owen, we're not gonna watch it.
Well, I'm
might like
before
it.
we allow Owen to cause any more chaos, I'm going to wrap up the episode. So that was episode 13 of Denzel Washington movies, where George only watched one out of the 8 movies. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Owen makes it 3 wins in a row. George didn't. I think Owen did. But that makes the overall score that Owen is only 1 win behind on George, which makes it very juicy going into the next episode of episode 14. Thank you so much to my co-hosts George Robinson and Owen Cox for taking part in the episode today. I hope you like listening. We are available on all streaming services such as Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and YouTube. Also on Instagram and TikTok. And you can find all of that information on there when we are posting, and cool little posters that George makes. Also, if you'd like to help us buy Owen a new microphone or send him on a computer course to work Audacity, you can buy t-shirts on Tmill, which is in the bio in our link tree on our Instagram bio. So thank you all for listening. We really appreciate it, and we hope to hear from you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.
See ya.
See ya.
So will you watch that film or not?
No.
It's the rating. It's the rating. Rating. It's the rating. It's the rating.
The Rating is Right podcast is hosted by Ian Crow and co-hosted by George Robinson and Owen Cox. The show is edited by George Robinson with music by Will Butler. You can find the podcast on Instagram under the handle The Rating is Right, or you can contact the hosts on their email address, theratingisright@gmail.com, if you have any suggestions or want to discuss your thoughts on previous episodes. Thanks for listening.